Hi, my name is MJ and I watch movies. On this channel, I keep up to date with whatever's new in theaters and give my unqualified takes on any movie news that I find interesting. Two major films came out this week, opening on January 24th, Flight Risk, featuring male pattern baldness Mark Wahlberg, and Presence, directed by Steven Soderbergh. I saw both, but before I get into them, we got some major updates to talk about. Most important of all is that the nominees for the 97th Oscars were announced this week. And boy, howdy, is it just... ugh. Either 2024 was worse for movies than I thought, or the Academy sucks at voting for things. Both could be true. Now, I must admit, I have not seen a majority of the films that were nominated, mostly because so many of them came out at the ass end of 2024, and have just barely started getting a wide theatrical run. It doesn't help that the Academy voters have a clear recency bias. It's like they forget the first 8 or 9 months of the year happen, so anything before October practically doesn't exist for them. The stuff they love has already played in LA and New York, the only places that matter, apparently, and the whole industry has come together to vote for these few films to represent the best of the best for last year. I don't want to go entirely off hearsay, but at this time, I can only give you that. And if what I have heard is anything to go by, this is quite a disappointing selection of films. So yeah, I promised I would go over the Oscar nominations, so let's actually do that. I'm not gonna go super in-depth into everything, but we're just gonna do some lightning rounds covering each category and how I feel about each of the nominees. For Best Original Screenplay, the nominees are Anora, The Brutalist, A Real Pain, September 5th, and The Substance. Anora has a strong chance to win. The Brutalist might actually win. A Real Pain, it would be a pleasant surprise for sure, but I don't see it going there. September 5th looked awesome. My theater didn't get it yet, but it's not gonna win though. The Substance, maybe? The Academy doesn't like horror films very much, but there's always a chance, especially this year with its track record being so great at other award circuits. For Best Adapted Screenplay, the nominees are A Complete Unknown, ew, Conclave, God I hope, Emilia Perez, which I know is going to win and I hate it, Nickel Boys, which I've never heard of before, and Sing Sing. I've heard nothing but good shit about Sing Sing, but it probably won't win, just to be realistic. For Best Production Design, we have The Brutalist, Conclave, Dune Part 2, Nosferatu, and Wicked. The Brutalist, well, it turns out they used generative AI to help them with certain visual aspects of the film. I won't get into details right now, but it's really shitty that they did that, and really, it should be disqualified on principle. Conclave is not really outstanding in this regard, but it's good that it got here. And in a just world, Dune Part 2 would win this, but it's not going to. Nosferatu is also a clear, great choice, but I don't think it's gonna go that way. And as for Wicked, oh god no. The set photos looked great, but the final film fucked up the colors and the lighting so much that any work that went into the production design just got nullified. It looks so bland and dull and boring. Just no. Alright, moving on to Best Costume Design. The nominees are A Complete Unknown, Conclave, Gladiator 2, Nosferatu, and Wicked. A Complete Unknown? Seriously? This got nominated? Really? Conclave? Sure, why not? With Gladiator 2, yeah, fine. You can't go wrong with Roman armor and stuff. Nosferatu, yes please, it should win. And Wicked, no. Best Makeup and Hairstyling. A Different Man, I haven't seen it, but sure. Emilia Perez, fuck off. Nosferatu, should win. The Substance has a very good chance to win. And Wicked, which I'm very afraid will win. For Best Cinematography, The Brutalist, Dune Part 2, Emilia Perez, are you fucking joking? Maria, which I haven't seen many clips from it, but I guess it makes more sense than Emilia Perez, and Nosferatu. The Brutalist, it might go that way. Dune Part 2 needs to win, but it won't. Nosferatu could. Like, it's one of the best shot films of last year, but I don't trust the Academy to vote for it. And again, Emilia Perez here, like, is this a fucking joke? Emilia Perez for Best Cinematography. This thing. Take it out and replace it with challengers, you shitheads. Alright, moving on to Best Visual Effects, which is actually a decent category. We have Alien Romulus, Better Man, Dune Part 2, Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, and Wicked. Again? No. Stop. You're wrong. This is wrong. No. With Alien Romulus, it has a chance. I don't see it going that way, but genuinely great effects work, practical and digital alike. But then you have deepfake Ian Holm, and it's Rogue One all over again, but worse. Better Man, I am actually kind of rooting for, both for the technical and artistic reasons behind it. And Dune Part 2, it should be a shoo-in, but I can't be positive it's going this way. Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, really good VFX, obviously, and you really can't go wrong with monkeys, but I don't see the Academy giving it to this. For Best Sound, we have A Complete Unknown. I guess if you like the sound of Timothée Chalamet singing badly, then here you go. Dune Part 2, should be no contest, but I'm not going to hold my breath. Emilia Perez, fuck off. Wicked, actually no. And The Wild Robot is in the running. I'm surprised it got nominated in this category, but fuck it, I'd vote for it. For Best Original Score, The Brutalist. As long as they didn't use AI for it, then whatever. Conclave, I guess. Emilia Perez, fuck off. It should be challengers in this spot, not Emilia Perez. Wicked, no. The Wild Robot, I think this is the only clear winner of what they chose, but I know it's not gonna get it. The next few categories I don't really give a shit about, like Best Original Song. I don't care about this category, like especially not this year, as there were no standout songs from anything, and reportedly, this year's ceremony isn't going to hold performances of the songs, so why should I even bother listing them? But I'm calling it right now, it's going to Emilia Perez. It has 2 songs up in this category. It's going to win. And yeah, I don't normally pay attention to the short film categories, like, best live action short, animated short, documentary short. I don't even care about documentary feature films, normally. They never really play in theaters near me, or they're mostly streaming originals. It's whatever. Let's skip straight to Best International Feature Film. France entered Emilia Perez. It's going to win, and I hate it. From Latvia, we have Flow, which should win. The Girl with the Needle from Denmark. I've honestly never heard of it. I'm sure it's fine, but it's not going to win, though. I'm Still Here from Brazil, which I've heard nothing but good things. I honestly hope it beats Emilia Perez. If anything will, it's probably this. I hope it beats Emilia Perez, with a stick preferably. And The Seed of the Sacred Fig from Germany. Never heard of this either, so I have no feelings about it. It's not gonna win. For Best Animated Feature, honestly, the best category of the whole bunch, because they have, really great choices. Nothing in here really pisses me or anyone else off. The nominees are Flow, Inside Out 2, Memoir of a Snail, Wallace and Gromit, Vengeance Most Foul, I've been meaning to see that, and The Wild Robot. Flow won the Golden Globe already, so it probably has a good chance, but with Inside Out 2 being here, I do like the movie, but Disney bought this award, or tried to anyway. Memoir of a Snail, it only blipped on my radar a few months ago, and it sounded pretty good. It's a stop-motion film, so that's nice. But if a stop-motion film is going to win this year, it's probably going to be Wallace and Gromit. I love Wallace and Gromit. I love their short films. I love Curse of the Were-Rabbit so much. If it's not Inside Out 2, it's going to be this. And The Wild Robot is probably the actual best animated film of the year, but it's got fierce competition. Alright, now we're getting into the serious awards, the acting categories. For Best Supporting Actress, the nominees are Monica Barbero from A Complete Unknown, Ariana Grande from Wicked. Look, I did enjoy her performance, but no. Felicity Jones from The Brutalist, They used generative AI to manipulate her vocal performance for the Hungarian dialogue and accent. Through no fault of her own, she should be disqualified, because no, I will not accept an AI-enhanced performance. Isabella Rossellini from Conclave. She didn't do much in the movie, so I think it's a career nomination more than anything. And Zoe Saldana from Emilia Perez. No. I'm sorry, Zoe Saldana. I want you to win something. It just can't be for this. Not this. Oh boy, next up is Best Supporting Actor. The nominees are Yura Borisov from Anora. Has a chance, I think. Kieran Culkin from A Real Pain. It would be awesome if he got it, but I don't think it's going his way. Next is Edward Norton from A Complete Unknown. Guy Pearce from The Brutalist. I'm not sure if they used AI for his performance, until we know for sure he's on thin ice. And lastly, Jeremy Strong from The Apprentice. He probably won't get it. For Best Actress, this is lead actress. The nominees are Cynthia Erivo from Wicked. Again, I liked her in the movie, but no. Carla Sofia Gascon from Emilia Perez, and hey, this is the first openly trans woman to be nominated for Best Actress at the Oscars. I wish it was for literally anything fucking else, though. God damn it. Next up, we have Mikey Madison from Anora, a strong contender. I know everyone loves her in that film. And then we have Demi Moore from The Substance, the strongest contender, I think. It's between her and Mikey Madison, and somehow I think it's going to go to Gascon for Emilia Perez because this industry is stupid. And then we have Fernanda Torres from I'm Still Here. She won the Golden Globe, I think. I'm not going to waste time researching that, but whatever. I think she won. And good on her for making the nomination list, but I don't think it's going her way. I'm sorry, but she got the Golden Globe. It could be as far as she gets. If I'm wrong, then that's awesome, though. For Best Actor, we have Adrian Brody from The Brutalist, confirmed generative AI on his voice for this performance. It should be immediately disqualified. I will hear no arguments. Fuck off. Then we have Timothée Chalamet from A Complete Unknown as Bob Dylan. No. Coleman Domingo from Sing Sing. Oh, I fucking wish, please. Ray Fiennes from Conclave. If not Coleman Domingo, then fine for sure. And then Sebastian Stan as Donald Trump from The Apprentice. I can't see it going to him. With how they blacklisted him from the actors, talk thing from Variety, whatever the fuck that's called, I don't think the Academy's gonna give it to him. But it's nice that he got nominated. For Best Director, we have Sean Baker from Anora, which is not unlikely, but probably won't be him. Brady Corbett for The Brutalist, not with the use of generative AI in his film. He should be disqualified. I'm sorry. Then James Mangold for A Complete Unknown. No. Jacques Audiard for Emilia Perez. Fuck no. Coralie Fargeet? I don't know how to pronounce that. The Substance Lady. Out of anyone on this list, it should be her, but I know it's going to that French dude. And now we get to the ultimate category. Best Picture. The nominees for the best film of the fucking year, apparently, are Anora, The Brutalist, A Complete Unknown, Conclave, Dune Part 2, Emilia Perez, I'm Still Here, Nickel Boys, The Substance, and Wicked. If what I've heard is anything to go by, Anora would be a strong contender. Unfortunately, it's sharing this category with much more popular, yet much worse things. And never have I lost interest in a film faster than The Brutalist. Once it was revealed the filmmakers used generative AI for certain imagery, and especially on the actors' voices to make them sound authentically Hungarian, I was out. I'm done. The Brutalist was getting praised to the high heavens as one of, if not the best film of the year, and I had been dying to have it come to my theater, and now I want nothing to do with it. Fuck you. And A Complete Unknown, I don't care about Bob Dylan, I don't like Timothée Chalamet all that much, I really don't like musician biopics, so this, to me, is a dumb choice. Conclave, it's one of the few great selections, but I know it's not gonna win the night. And then Dune Part 2, oh god, The recency bias among the Academy voters is what killed its chances in this ceremony. It is one of the year's best, but everyone in Hollywood forgot that. Dune 2 didn't come out during awards season, so it's got no shot at the win. I mean, I know the first one didn't win either. I don't remember if the first one even got nominated, but god damn. I think it's only in the Best Picture nominees because they want some recognizable titles in the show. If it weren't for that, it would be even more snubbed than it already is. I guarantee you. Also, Denis Villeneuve should have been nominated for Best Director. Then Emilia Perez... Fuck off, I swear to God. How this thing got 13 nominations, including this, is fucking baffling. What an insult. Then I'm Still Here. Again, I've heard good things about it, but it's not taking that trophy. I've still never heard of the Nickel Boys, but I doubt it's getting very far in this race. The Substance could have a chance, but I won't be surprised if it loses. And for Wicked, everyone in this industry has lost their fucking minds if they think Wicked Part 1 is a legitimate choice for Best Picture. Be serious for one moment, please. Again, recency bias. It only got so much love because it came out in November. Everyone has amnesia, I guess, and we're so starved for good musical films that we're accepting this, and Emilia Perez by extension, as more than just halfway decent. If this wins Best Picture, I will come fucking unglued. Though realistically it won't win, and then when Part 2 comes out later in 2025, they'll give it to that movie, which retroactively means Part 1 also got Best Picture. Kind of what happened with Lord of the Rings, how Return of the King won Best Picture, and not the other two. I swear to God, if this happens with Wicked... So yeah, those are the nominations. I've got a decent pulse on the buzz surrounding the announcements, and literally nobody is happy with what's in the running, for most of them. Now, I don't mean the people who are mad that Sonic the Hedgehog 3 didn't get nominated for Best Picture. Those guys are just fucking insane. I mean, most well-adjusted people are actually bewildered that so many great things were ignored in favor of shit like Emilia Perez. I haven't seen the movie, granted, however, the clips I've watched are fucking moronic, and literally nobody on the face of the earth likes it. Mainstream audiences hate it, the transgender community really hates it, Mexico hates it, but the whole film industry is going apeshit. 13 nominations, as many as Oppenheimer, almost as many as Return of the King. How? Fucking how? It makes no sense. I know the Oscars aren't viewers' choice, really. It's all for the industry people who work in the industry, but anyone who has seen Emilia Perez outside of that group has nothing good to say about it. The 97th Oscars are a perfect example of the major divide between critics, the industry, and the audience. Something is just not clicking here. And this isn't like Shakespeare in Love from 1998, which did cause a big upset at the time. Shakespeare in Love isn't a bad movie. It's written kind of stupid, but by no means is it a poorly made film in most regards. It's just that it was up against Saving Private Ryan, critically speaking, the actual best movie of 1998, and that's why everyone was upset that it won. But with Emilia Perez, nobody, fucking nobody is having a good time with it. I've seen more positive opinions about 2005's Crash than this. But again, that's mostly going off what everyone else is saying, and I'm very opinionated for someone who hasn't seen most of these things, but I'm gonna change that. Before Oscar night, I'm gonna make sure I watch every last nominated film, so I can go into that ceremony with a fully informed bias. The Oscars air on March 3rd, 2025, and thankfully Conan O'Brien is hosting, so it won't be a complete shit show. Probably. So that was the big piece of news for this week. Almost feels like the other announcements don't matter, but let's go over just a few points very quickly before we get on to reviewing this week's new films. As Deadline reports, Sonic the Hedgehog 4 is officially locked in for March 19th, 2027. I didn't expect this series to go for this long, or to be as good as it's turned out to be this far. Genuinely excited for what they bring with number 4. I hope they keep going until they adapt Sonic 06. That would would be awful, but amazing. But Sonic 4 is still a couple years away, but we won't have to wait very long for this next thing. Variety reports that the reboot of The Toxic Avenger is finally coming to theaters this year. No set release date, but it's coming. It was filmed in 2021, screened at a couple film festivals in 2023, and despite everyone loving it, the film has been in limbo for quite a while. Distributors are scared of this thing because it's outrageously bloody and gory. It's a splatter horror comedy, I think is the official term. And it's a reboot of a largely obscure trauma film from the 80s. Toxic Avenger's always been an underdog, and I'm glad he finally got a win. I think Peter Dinklage is the Toxic Avenger this time, and that's kind of amazing. Also, Elijah Woods is in it, and he looks fucked up. It's insane. I can't wait to see this. Oh, and speaking of horror, Robert Eggers is doing a werewolf movie of his own, coming Christmas 2026, called Werewolf, spelled like werewolf, Werwolf, to give the impression of Old English, which makes sense because according to The Hollywood Reporter, the film is set in 13th century Europe, and the entire thing is going to have authentic Old English dialogue. And I don't mean Shakespeare, that is modern English. I'm talking really Old English. It's basically a different language. It's horrific to hear, kind of. Whatever Robert Eggers has planned for this, it's bound to be incredible. I can't wait to see what he does with a werewolf film. It might do more for the genre than Leigh Whannell's Wolfman, if I'm being honest. That's about all the most important stuff to me, anyway. If it weren't for the Oscars announcements, I would have brought up a few other things, but that's okay. Not much in the way of trailers, either. Though when I did see the presents, I got the trailer for something called Locked, which stars Bill Skarsgård and Anthony Hopkins. Yeah, Bill Skarsgård tries to break into this smart car, this SUV, and then Anthony Hopkins remote controls, like, the locks, and there's tasers in the seats, and he's fucking with the temperature to freeze him out, and it's insane. Like, he's just trying to steal the car, and he's torturing the man. He's going absolutely insane. It's like he's acting like fucking Jigsaw or something, I don't know. But yeah, he's trapped him in the car, he's gonna use him for crimes or something, or punish him, I don't know, man. It looks kind of okay. But really, that's the only new trailer I saw. Not much else dropped this week, so let's get on to reviewing this week's latest films. First off, Flight Risk, featuring male pattern baldness Mark Wahlberg. It's directed by Mel Gibson, not that the advertising wants you to know that. They know his name comes with the baggage of his many controversies, so in the trailers, they just say, "From the director of Braveheart and Hacksaw Ridge." What did they think our reaction would be? Oh wow, this director has done a lot of good movies. I sure hope there aren't any recordings of compromising phone calls that could tarnish my view of this prestigious filmmaker. Anyway, it's about a US Marshal lady who's transporting Topher Grace to testify against a crime boss, and they gotta keep a low profile, so they charter a small plane piloted by male pattern baldness Mark Wahlberg to get them across Alaska to make a connecting flight. Except, not long after takeoff, it turns out male pattern baldness Mark Wahlberg is actually a hitman hired by the mob boss to kill Topher Grace so he can't testify. The US Marshal lady subdues male pattern baldness Mark Wahlberg, but she doesn't know how to fly a plane, and that's a problem. The movie takes place entirely on this plane. Hardly any other characters show up on screen. There's a few who never show up, period. All we get is their voices over the Marshal lady's cell phone. Very small-scale thriller, very self-contained, and it's okay. It's certainly a January movie, I'll put it that way. It's not a total piece of shit like critics are saying it is, but there's nothing all that great about it either. The story won't knock your socks off by any means. The characters aren't that engaging. It feels spread thin trying to make this premise work for 90 minutes. And the filmmaking, for the most part, is passable and nothing more. Now that I think about it, it's a less successful version of Phone Booth from 2003. That's the one where Colin Farrell is stuck in a phone booth for pretty much the whole runtime, and the movie doesn't stray too far from that location. Flight Risk is that, but in an airplane, and with 3 characters, and not even half the talent in front of or behind the camera. It's not as thrilling as it could have been, though it's not frustrating. It's easy enough to sit through, just not sure if most people would say the sit is worth it. As for the 3 characters, US Marshal lady was bland as hell. Michelle Dockery plays the part as well as she can, given the shallow material, but it could have been anyone in this role. I didn't care about her tragic backstory. She's such a generic, boring character. Male pattern baldness Mark Wahlberg was alright, though not as fun as I wanted him to be. His shtick wears off pretty fast, and he spends most of the movie tied up or unconscious. His death is hilarious, though. Like, that whole sequence is the best part of the film. Spoilers, but you don't care. My favorite was Topher Grace, weirdly enough. I don't know, something about him being endearingly pathetic was working. He was carrying this entire movie for me, I'm not gonna lie. Also, when the marshal lady takes control of the plane, she's on a call with a pilot dude to help her fly the plane and make it to the airport. The pilot dude was kind of the MVP here. He would instruct her how to use the controls and flirt at the same time. It's not much, but it's something, which this movie desperately needed more of. It is weird knowing Mel Gibson directed this because it's so mediocre and so not anything more than what it is. I think most people, if they went into it blind, would be shocked to find out it was him. Like, he did this? And this is all he did with it? He's not a bad filmmaker. I mean, he has a reputation, but that's outside of making movies. You would think someone of his caliber would have made Flight Risk a more memorable experience, and yet, it's so void of signature style, so without personal flair, so just fine. It could have been anyone in the director's chair. This is so a paycheck movie for everyone involved. But at least make it something worth remembering. I mean, outside the very ending. For a January thriller, it meets the bare minimum enjoyment levels for me. There's enough small things in here that I actually liked to where I can't write it off as a bad movie entirely. But if you must see Flight Risk in a theater, go for a matinee price. It's a quick and painless time waster, and Topher Grace could almost be enough to make it worthwhile. But really, I'd say to wait to rent it at home. And the other movie that came out this week was Presence, directed by Steven Soderbergh, and written by David Koepp. It's a haunted house movie shot entirely from the perspective of the ghost. A family moves into a new house, Lucy Liu plays the mom, and it's not too long before the daughter notices there's a spiritual presence within. She's the only one who can feel it's there, and nobody else believes her, and now the question is, who or what is this ghost, and why is it here? It's not an outright horror movie, as the presence itself isn't evil. It's just kind of there, watching and listening to everything this family does. Occasionally doing some typical ghostly shit like moving objects when nobody's looking or flickering the lights. Everything's filmed in the first person as if you watching it are the presence in the house. It's a strange case where you feel like an active participant in the story, yet are also a fly on the wall and just watching this family's personal drama happen. It's definitely an interesting gimmick, but is it enough to carry a movie? Well, kinda, yeah. It's Soderbergh, so you can't really go wrong. The cast is solid, the camera work is obviously pretty cool, and it's a swift 85 minutes. That's with credits. Pretty good stuff all around, but I gotta be honest, I think the movie is just okay. Like, there's nothing to complain about, really. It's directed well, it's a neat gimmick, it's unique and all that, but the story is probably the least interesting thing about it. Weird to say since it's very story-driven, but with a movie like this, with the gimmick, the feeling makes sense when you watch it. I was engaged, don't get me wrong, but by the time it was over, my reaction was just, well, sure, that was nice. Everyone else seems to be loving it, so maybe you'll find it more impactful than I did. Definitely the better film of the weekend, though I don't think I love it. I wish I had more to say, but that's about all there is. And I think that about does it for this week's video. Next week is the last weekend of January, and it's bringing us some things that look decent, but the fact that they're still January movies has me cautious. We're getting Dog Man, an animated adaptation of the Dave Pilkey children's books, Companion with Jack Quaid and Sophie Thatcher, which had an amazing first trailer, but the most recent trailer just ruins the mystery entirely, gives away the whole premise, and now we know it's gonna be a probably worse version of Ex Machina. Or if it's not bad, then it's just Ex Machina, but in the form of a dark comedy. Something tells me they didn't know how to market this movie. There's also Love Me, a post-apocalyptic romance between a buoy and a satellite starring Kristen Stewart and Steven Yeun. Looks sweet, but again, it's January still. And then there's Valiant 1, a military action movie in which a bunch of soldiers somehow crash their helicopter in North Korea and have to get the fuck out. I don't know about that one. I might just stick to the first three. Those others at least look interesting. There's a genuine question as to how good they might be. You're not really sure what you're gonna get. Valiant 1 is going to be exactly what the trailers show. It for sure is not Black Hawk Down. It might want to be, but it's not. So we have those to look forward to. Once again, thank you all so much for listening. I'm so happy I finally started making videos. I appreciate anyone who listens, and if you want, subscribe for more weekly videos so you can listen to me ramble even more. I will see you in the next one.